The morning sun cast long shadows across the Navy SEAL training compound in Coronado, California. Among the rows of muscular men preparing for another grueling day of combat exercises, nobody noticed the slender figure adjusting her gear with methodical precision. Elena Martinez had learned long ago that invisibility was her greatest weapon, even among America's most elite warriors. At 28, Elena possessed an unusual combination of deadly skills and quiet determination that made her both feared and misunderstood. She had no official rank within the SEAL teams, carried no military records that anyone could easily access. Yet every operator who had worked alongside her knew one undeniable truth. When Elena Martinez was behind a rifle scope, death followed with mathematical certainty. Her story began not in the sterile halls of military academies or the dusty training grounds of boot camp, but in the unforgiving mountains of rural Montana. Born to a family of hunters and trappers, Elena learned to shoot before she could properly tie her shoes. Her grandfather, a weathered man named Samuel who had served as a Marine sniper in Vietnam, recognized something special in the young girl's steady hands and unwavering focus. While other children played video games or watched cartoons, Elena spent hours learning the ancient art of marksmanship. Samuel taught her that shooting was never just about pulling a trigger. It was about reading wind patterns, understanding ballistics, controlling breathing, and, most importantly, making peace with the weight of taking a life. By age 12, she could consistently hit targets at distances that challenged experienced hunters. The Martinez family lived off the grid, sustaining themselves through hunting and small-scale farming. Elena's father, Miguel, had been an Army Ranger before a training accident ended his military career. Her mother, Sarah, was a former trauma surgeon who had grown tired of the constant pressure of saving lives in emergency rooms. Together, they created a home where practical skills mattered more than conventional education. Elena's childhood was unconventional by most standards. She learned mathematics through calculating bullet trajectories and wind drift. Her science education came from understanding weather patterns and animal behavior. History lessons involved her grandfather's war stories and the tactical decisions that meant the difference between life and death in combat zones. When Elena turned 16, tragedy struck the Martinez family. Miguel was killed in a hunting accident when his rifle misfired during a routine deer hunting trip. The loss devastated the family, but it also hardened Elena's resolve to master every aspect of firearms safety and marksmanship. She threw herself into training with an intensity that worried her mother and impressed her grandfather. Samuel began teaching Elena advanced techniques that went far beyond typical hunting skills. He introduced her to military-grade equipment, long-range precision shooting, and the psychological aspects of combat marksmanship. Elena absorbed every lesson with the dedication of a scholar and the focus of a natural predator. By her 18th birthday, Elena could consistently hit human-sized targets at distances exceeding 1,200 meters. Her shooting was not just accurate, it was artistic in its precision. She understood her weapons at a level that bordered on supernatural, able to compensate for variables that would challenge experienced military snipers. After high school, Elena faced a decision that would change her life forever. She could attend college on a shooting scholarship, pursue a conventional career, and live a normal life. Or she could follow a different path, one that would put her extraordinary skills to use in service of her country. The choice became clear when recruiters from various military and law enforcement agencies began visiting the remote Montana ranch where she lived. The first recruiter was from the FBI, impressed by Elena's performance at a regional shooting competition where she had dominated a field of military and law enforcement professionals. The second was from the CIA, having received reports about a young woman whose shooting abilities defied conventional understanding. The third visitor changed everything. Master Chief Petty Officer James "Hammer" Harrison arrived at the Martinez Ranch on a cold October morning, driving a nondescript pickup truck and wearing civilian clothes that couldn't quite hide his military bearing. Harrison was a legend among Navy SEALs, a man who had survived more combat deployments than most operators could imagine. He had heard whispers about Elena through military channels and decided to investigate personally. The meeting between Harrison and Elena took place on the ranch's makeshift shooting range, a cleared area surrounded by mountains that provided natural backstops for long-range shooting. Harrison brought along a military-grade sniper rifle and challenged Elena to demonstrate her abilities. What happened next would become the stuff of SEAL Team legend. Elena's first shot at 800 meters struck the center of a playing card. Her second shot, at 1,000 meters, split the first bullet in half. By the time she was finished with Harrison's impromptu test, she had accomplished shots that veteran military snipers would struggle to replicate under ideal conditions. Harrison knew immediately that he was witnessing something extraordinary. "Kid," Harrison said after Elena's demonstration, "I've been in the teams for 22 years. I've worked with the best shooters in the world. What you just did should be impossible." Elena simply shrugged and began cleaning her rifle with the methodical care her grandfather had taught her. Possible and impossible are just words people use when they don't understand what they're seeing. Harrison spent the next 2 days at the ranch, talking with Elena's family and learning about her background. He discovered a young woman who possessed not just extraordinary shooting skills, but also the kind of quiet mental toughness that couldn't be taught in any training program. More importantly, he sensed in Elena a moral compass that would prevent her abilities from being misused. The conversation that changed Elena's life happened on Harrison's final evening at the ranch. Sitting around the kitchen table with Elena, her mother, and her grandfather, Harrison explained why he had come. "The teams have a problem," Harrison began carefully. "We're dealing with threats that require a different kind of response. Sometimes we need precision that goes beyond conventional military training. Sometimes we need someone who can operate outside normal command structures while maintaining absolute reliability." Samuel Martinez understood immediately what Harrison was suggesting. "You want to use Elena as an unofficial asset?" Harrison nodded. "She would train with various SEAL teams, but wouldn't be officially enlisted. No rank, no military record that could be easily accessed. She would be a ghost who could provide support when conventional approaches won't work." Elena's mother was horrified by the proposal. "You want to turn my daughter into a killer?" "Ma'am," Harrison replied respectfully, "your daughter already has the skills to be an extraordinary soldier. What I'm offering is the chance to use those skills to protect people who can't protect themselves. The alternative might be watching those same skills go to waste, or worse, seeing Elena struggle to find purpose in a world that doesn't understand what she's capable of." The family debated through the night. Elena listened to arguments about duty, morality, and the price of serving one's country. In the end, the decision came down to a simple question. Could Elena live with herself if she didn't use her abilities to help others? 3 weeks later, Elena Martinez arrived at the Navy SEAL training compound in Coronado. She carried a single duffel bag containing her personal equipment and a letter of introduction from Harrison that simply read, "Train her. Trust her. Don't ask questions you don't need answered." Elena's first day among the SEALs was unlike anything the teams had experienced before. Word had spread about Harrison's mysterious recruit, but nobody was prepared for the reality of working with someone like Elena. She was quiet, professional, and seemingly immune to the psychological pressure that was used to break down and rebuild SEAL candidates. During her first training exercise, Elena was paired with Alpha Squad for a long-range reconnaissance mission. The exercise called for the team to identify and eliminate multiple targets at various distances while avoiding detection by opposing forces. Elena's role was to provide overwatch and precision fire support. The exercise began at dawn with Alpha Squad moving into position in the hills overlooking a mock enemy compound. Elena separated from the main group and found a concealed position 1,400 meters from the primary target area. Using equipment that most of the SEALs had never seen before, she began gathering intelligence on enemy movements and preparing firing solutions for multiple scenarios. 6 hours into the exercise, Alpha Squad found themselves pinned down by superior forces. The training scenario had been designed to test the team's ability to adapt under pressure, but the opposing force had performed better than expected. Alpha Squad was trapped in a valley with limited options for movement or engagement. Elena's voice came over the radio with calm professionalism that surprised the veteran operators. "Alpha Leader, this is Overwatch. I have eyes on 12 tangos in your immediate area and solutions prepared for 8 high-value targets. Recommend you move to Rally Point Bravo on my signal. The next 30 seconds changed how Alpha Squad viewed their mysterious new team member. Elena's rifle spoke 8 times in rapid succession, and 8 members of the opposing force found themselves marked as eliminated by the electronic training system. The precision and speed of her engagement allowed Alpha Squad to break contact and complete their mission objectives. During the post-exercise debrief, Alpha Squad leader Lieutenant Commander Mike Razor Thompson struggled to find words for what he had witnessed. "Control, this is Alpha Leader. Our Overwatch asset just eliminated 8 targets at distances ranging from 800 to 1,200 meters in under 30 seconds. I've never seen anything like it." The exercise controller, a veteran SEAL instructor named Senior Chief Petty Officer David "Shark" Williams, had been monitoring Elena's performance through advanced telemetry equipment. Her shots had been so precise that the electronic sensors initially registered them as equipment malfunctions. Only after reviewing the data multiple times did Williams accept that a human being had actually achieved such accuracy under field conditions. Word of Elena's performance spread quickly through the SEAL community. Within days, team leaders were requesting her services for their own training exercises. Elena found herself rotating between different squads, providing specialized support and learning the unique operational styles of various units. Each team she worked with discovered new aspects of Elena's capabilities. Bravo Squad learned that she could accurately engage targets in complete darkness using thermal imaging equipment. Charlie Squad discovered her ability to coordinate multiple simultaneous engagements while maintaining constant communication with ground forces. Delta Squad found that Elena could provide real-time intelligence gathering while simultaneously maintaining Overwatch responsibilities. More importantly, every team that worked with Elena began to understand that she brought more than just exceptional marksmanship to their operations. She possessed an intuitive understanding of battlefield dynamics that allowed her to anticipate threats and opportunities before they became apparent to others. Her ability to read situations and provide tactical advice proved as valuable as her shooting skills. Elena's reputation among the SEALs grew with each training exercise. The men who initially questioned the wisdom of bringing a civilian woman into their exclusive brotherhood began to recognize that Elena represented something entirely different from conventional military personnel. She wasn't trying to prove herself as an equal. She was demonstrating capabilities that exceeded normal expectations. The psychological impact of working with Elena was profound for many SEAL operators. These men were accustomed to being the most elite warriors in the world. Yet here was someone whose skills made their own achievements seem ordinary by comparison. Some struggled with resentment or jealousy, while others found inspiration in Elena's example. Elena herself remained largely oblivious to the political undercurrents her presence created. She focused entirely on training, learning, and preparing for whatever missions might require her unique abilities. Her dedication to improvement impressed even the most demanding SEAL instructors, who found that Elena approached every exercise with the same methodical intensity that had defined her childhood training. As Elena's first month of training neared its end, Master Chief Harrison began receiving requests from SEAL teams scheduled for overseas deployments. Word had reached operational units in various theaters about the mysterious female sniper who was revolutionizing training exercises at Coronado. Team leaders wanted to know if Elena would be available for real-world operations. Harrison faced a difficult decision. Elena had exceeded every expectation during her training period, but deploying her on actual combat missions would represent a significant escalation in her role with the teams. Once she crossed that line, there would be no returning to the relatively safe world of training exercises and simulated combat. The decision was ultimately made for Harrison when intelligence reports reached SEAL Command about a high-value target operating in a remote region of Afghanistan. The target was a Taliban commander who had been responsible for multiple attacks against coalition forces, but his location made conventional assault operations extremely dangerous. The mission would require precise long-range engagement from a concealed position that could be maintained for extended periods. Elena's name came up immediately during the mission planning session. Her combination of marksmanship skills and ability to operate independently made her the obvious choice for the assignment. The question was whether she was psychologically prepared to cross the line from training exercises to actual combat operations. Harrison made the decision to speak with Elena directly about the mission opportunity. Their conversation took place in his office overlooking the Pacific Ocean, with the sounds of SEAL training exercises providing background noise to their discussion. "Elena," Harrison began carefully, "we've got a situation that might require your specific skill set. It's not a training exercise. It's the real thing." Elena looked at Harrison with the same calm expression she maintained during their first meeting at her family's ranch. "I understand, Master Chief. What do you need me to do?" The simplicity of her response highlighted everything that made Elena unique among the warriors at Coronado. She didn't ask about danger, glory, or recognition. She didn't express anxiety about the transition from training to combat. She simply asked what was needed of her. Harrison spent the next hour briefing Elena on the mission parameters. The target was a Taliban commander named Malik Rahman, who had been coordinating attacks against coalition forces from a fortified compound in the mountains of eastern Afghanistan. Intelligence indicated that Rahman moved between several locations, but followed predictable patterns that created brief windows of opportunity for engagement. The mission would require Elena to operate with a small SEAL reconnaissance team that would provide security and intelligence support. She would need to maintain a concealed position for potentially several days while waiting for the optimal engagement opportunity. Once the shot was taken, the team would need to extract quickly through hostile territory. Elena listened to the briefing with complete attention, occasionally asking technical questions about terrain, weather conditions, and equipment requirements. Her questions demonstrated a professional understanding of the complexities involved in long-range precision shooting under combat conditions. "When do we leave?" Elena asked when Harrison finished the briefing. The military transport aircraft cut through the darkness above the Hindu Kush Mountains, its engines providing a steady drone that masked the tension filling the cargo compartment. Elena Martinez sat surrounded by her gear, methodically checking each piece of equipment with the same careful attention her grandfather had taught her years ago in Montana. The 4 SEAL operators assigned to her protection and support watched her preparations with a mixture of curiosity and professional respect. Staff Sergeant Marcus "Ghost" Williams served as the team leader, a veteran of 6 combat deployments who had earned his reputation through exceptional tactical intelligence and an uncanny ability to move undetected through hostile territory. Petty Officer First Class Tony "Tank" Rodriguez brought heavy weapons expertise and demolitions knowledge to the team. Hospital Corpsman Second Class David "Doc" Chun provided medical support and communications coordination. Petty Officer Second Class Jake "Spider" Morrison handled reconnaissance and electronic surveillance equipment. Each man had volunteered for this mission after learning they would be working with the mysterious female sniper who had been making waves at Coronado. They had heard the stories about Elena's impossible shots and supernatural accuracy, but none had actually witnessed her abilities firsthand. The mission to eliminate Malik Rahman would provide their first real test of whether the legends surrounding Elena Martinez matched reality. The flight to Afghanistan took 14 hours, with one refueling stop in Germany that allowed the team to stretch their legs and review mission parameters one final time. During the journey, Elena learned about each team member's background and began to understand how their individual skills would contribute to the mission's success. Ghost Williams had grown up in Detroit and joined the Navy at 18 to escape poverty and limited opportunities. His natural intelligence and dedication had earned him selection for SEAL training, where he discovered an aptitude for small unit tactics and leadership. Over 8 years of service, Ghost had developed a reputation for bringing his people home safely from impossible situations. Tank Rodriguez came from a military family in Texas, where his father and grandfather had both served as Marines. Tank's size and strength made him a natural choice for heavy weapons. But his teammates knew that beneath his intimidating exterior was a gentle giant who sent half his military pay home to support his mother and younger siblings. Doc Chin had been a pre-med student at UCLA when the September 11th attacks convinced him to postpone his education and serve his country. His medical knowledge and calm demeanor under pressure had saved dozens of lives during his 5 years with the teams. Doc planned to complete medical school after his military service and become a trauma surgeon. Spider Morrison was the youngest member of the team at 24, but his technical expertise with electronic surveillance equipment made him invaluable for reconnaissance missions. A computer science major before joining the Navy, Spider could hack into enemy communications systems, operate advanced tracking equipment, and coordinate complex technology integration during operations. Elena shared her own background with the team during the long flight, describing her childhood in Montana and the unconventional education that had prepared her for this moment. The SEALs listened with growing respect as Elena explained the training regimen her grandfather had designed, the practical skills she had learned from her parents, and the circumstances that had brought her to Master Chief Harrison's attention. The aircraft began its descent toward Bagram Air Base as the sun rose over the Afghan mountains. Elena felt her heart rate increase slightly as she prepared for her first real combat deployment, but the nervousness was tempered by confidence in her abilities and trust in her teammates. The months of training at Coronado had taught her that SEAL operators were among the most professional and capable warriors in the world. Bagram Air Base buzzed with activity as their aircraft taxied to a secure area reserved for special operations units. Elena and her team were met by Major Lisa Patterson, an intelligence officer who would provide final mission briefings and coordinate their insertion into the target area. Major Patterson had been tracking Malik Rahman for 6 months and possessed detailed knowledge of his movements, security procedures, and tactical vulnerabilities. Rahman is smart, Patterson explained during their briefing in a secure conference room. He varies his routes, changes his security details regularly, and never follows completely predictable patterns. However, our signals intelligence has identified certain behaviors that create brief windows of opportunity. The intelligence picture revealed that Rahman moved between 3 different compounds in the mountains east of Jalalabad, using a network of caves and mountain trails that made conventional military approaches extremely dangerous. His security force consisted of approximately 20 experienced fighters armed with assault rifles, machine guns, and rocket-propelled grenades. Rahman's vulnerability lay in his ego and his need to maintain personal relationships with other Taliban commanders. Every few days, he would meet with subordinates or allies at an outdoor location near his primary compound. These meetings typically lasted 30 to 40 minutes and provided the only opportunities when Rahman could be positively identified and engaged by a long-range sniper. Elena studied satellite photographs of the target area, using her experience reading terrain to identify potential shooting positions and escape routes. The mountains presented challenging conditions for long-range shooting, with altitude effects, unpredictable wind patterns, and limited visibility due to dust and atmospheric conditions. The optimal shooting position is here, Elena said, pointing to a ridge approximately 1,100 meters from Rahman's meeting location. It provides clear lines of sight, natural concealment, and multiple escape routes if we need to break contact quickly. Major Patterson nodded approvingly. That matches our assessment. The challenge is getting you into position without being detected by Rahman's security patrols. Ghost Williams had been studying the topographical maps and intelligence reports while Elena analyzed the shooting positions. We can insert by helicopter here, he said, indicating a landing zone 5 kilometers from the target area. Then, move on foot through these valleys to avoid the main patrol routes. The team spent the next 8 hours refining their mission plan, studying weather forecasts, and preparing equipment for the operation. Elena's rifle for this mission was a custom-built weapon chambered in .338 Lapua Magnum, capable of precise accuracy at extreme ranges while remaining portable enough for mountain operations. The scope was a state-of-the-art system that combined optical magnification with thermal imaging and laser range-finding capabilities. Elena's ammunition consisted of specialized rounds designed for long-range precision shooting. Each bullet had been hand-selected and tested to ensure consistent performance, with careful attention paid to ballistic coefficients and terminal effectiveness. She carried 20 rounds in her primary load, with additional ammunition distributed among her teammates in case the mission required extended engagement. The helicopter insertion was scheduled for 0200 hours, during the darkest part of the night, when Rahman's security forces would be least alert. The flight would take approximately 40 minutes, following a route designed to avoid known enemy positions and radar installations. Once on the ground, the team would have 6 hours of darkness to reach their observation position and prepare for the mission. Elena spent her final evening at Bagram writing letters to her mother and grandfather, explaining as much as operational security allowed about her current situation and her feelings about the mission ahead. She found comfort in maintaining connections to her family and the Montana ranch that had shaped her character and abilities. The letter to her grandfather proved especially meaningful as Elena reflected on the lessons he had taught her about the responsibilities that came with exceptional marksmanship skills. Samuel Martinez had served as a sniper in Vietnam and understood the psychological weight of taking lives from a distance. His guidance had prepared Elena not just technically, but emotionally for the challenges she would face. "Grandpa," Elena wrote, "tomorrow I will put everything you taught me to the test. I understand now why you always emphasize that shooting is about more than accuracy. It's about having the moral courage to use deadly force when it's necessary to protect innocent people. I won't let you down." The helicopter flight into the mountains began precisely on schedule, with Elena and her team aboard a specially modified Black Hawk that had been designed for stealth operations. The aircraft flew nap-of-the-earth routes, following valleys and ridgelines to avoid detection, while the pilots used night vision equipment to navigate through treacherous terrain. Elena found the flight simultaneously terrifying and exhilarating. The helicopter's evasive maneuvers and low-altitude flight created a roller coaster sensation that tested her stomach, but she was amazed by the pilot's skill in navigating through mountain passes in complete darkness. The professional competence displayed by everyone involved in the mission reinforced her confidence in the operation's chances for success. The landing zone was a small clearing surrounded by rocky outcroppings that provided natural concealment for the helicopter. Elena and her team disembarked quickly, gathering their equipment and moving away from the aircraft within 60 seconds of touchdown. The Black Hawk departed immediately, leaving them alone in the Afghan mountains with nothing but their skills, equipment, and teamwork to ensure mission success. Ghost Williams took point as the team began their movement toward the target area, using night vision equipment to navigate through terrain that would challenge experienced mountaineers during daylight hours. Elena found herself impressed by the team's ability to move silently and efficiently through difficult terrain while carrying heavy equipment loads. The 6-hour movement to their observation position tested Elena's physical conditioning in ways that training at Coronado had not fully prepared her for. The altitude, combined with the weight of her equipment and the technical difficulty of the terrain, pushed her cardiovascular system to its limits. However, her childhood spent hiking and hunting in the Montana mountains had developed the mental toughness needed to push through physical discomfort. Spider Morrison proved invaluable during the approach march, using electronic surveillance equipment to monitor enemy communications and detect potential threats along their route. His ability to intercept radio transmissions and identify patrol movements allowed the team to avoid several close encounters with Ramon's security forces. Dokchin maintained constant monitoring of the team's physical condition, ensuring that fatigue and altitude effects didn't compromise their operational effectiveness. His medical knowledge proved crucial in helping Elena adapt to the physiological challenges of high-altitude operations while maintaining the physical performance necessary for precision shooting. Tank Rodriguez's role became apparent when the team encountered several technical climbing obstacles that required rope work and equipment hauling. His strength and mountaineering skills enabled them to navigate cliff faces and rocky outcroppings that would have forced less capable teams to take longer, more exposed routes. The team reached their observation position 90 minutes before sunrise, giving them time to establish a concealed hide site and begin surveillance of the target area. Elena set up her rifle in a carefully prepared position that provided optimal shooting angles while maintaining concealment from potential observers. The hide site occupied a natural depression in the ridge that had been enhanced with camouflage netting and carefully positioned rocks to break up the team's silhouette. Elena's shooting position allowed her to observe the entire target area while remaining invisible to anyone more than 50 meters away. Intelligence reports indicated that Ramon typically held his meetings during the late afternoon, when the lighting conditions and temperature provided optimal comfort for extended outdoor conversations. This timing would also work in Elena's favor, as the afternoon sun would be behind her position and potentially interfere with enemy observers' ability to detect muzzle flash or scope reflection. Elena spent the daylight hours studying the target area through her rifle scope, noting wind patterns, lighting conditions, and potential complications that might affect her shot. The distance to Ramon's meeting location was 1,087 meters according to her laser rangefinder, well within her effective range, but requiring careful attention to environmental factors. The wind proved to be the most challenging variable, with mountain thermal effects creating unpredictable air currents that could affect bullet trajectory. Elena observed the movement of dust, vegetation, and other indicators to develop a mental map of wind patterns throughout the target area. Temperature variations between the hide site and target area created additional complications for ballistic calculations. The altitude difference of nearly 200 meters meant that air density variations could affect bullet flight, requiring Elena to adjust her aim point accordingly. Spider Morrison intercepted radio communications throughout the day that provided valuable intelligence about Ramon's movements and security procedures. The Taliban commander appeared to be following his normal routine, with meetings scheduled for late afternoon as intelligence reports had predicted. Dokchin monitored Elena's physical condition as the stress of waiting began to take its toll. The combination of altitude, dehydration, and nervous tension could affect a sniper's performance at critical moments. His medical expertise helped Elena maintain optimal physical condition while conserving energy for the shot. Ghost Williams coordinated the team's security and prepared contingency plans for various scenarios that might develop during or after the engagement. His tactical expertise ensured that the team would be ready to respond effectively to unexpected developments. Tank Rodriguez prepared explosive charges that could be used to cover their withdrawal if the team encountered superior enemy forces during their escape. His demolitions expertise provided additional options for breaking contact if conventional small arms fire proved insufficient. At 1,530 hours, Spider Morrison intercepted communications indicating that Ramon was preparing to leave his compound for the afternoon meeting. Elena began her final preparations, adjusting her rifle settings and mentally rehearsing the shot sequence she had practiced thousands of times during training. Elena's breathing became deeper and more controlled as she entered the focused mental state that her grandfather had taught her to achieve before important shots. The world narrowed to encompass only the target area, the crosshairs of her scope, and the subtle environmental factors that would determine the success or failure of her mission. Ramon appeared at the meeting location at 1,547 hours, accompanied by four. The bullet's impact echoed across the Afghan mountains like thunder, followed by an eerie silence that lasted exactly 3 seconds before chaos erupted throughout the Taliban compound. Elena Martinez watched through her rifle scope as Malik Ramon's bodyguards dove for cover, their leader's body crumpling to the rocky ground in a spreading pool of blood. The shot had been perfect, but the mission was far from over. Target down, Elena reported calmly into her radio, her voice betraying none of the adrenaline surge that followed her first combat kill. Clean hit, center mass. Ramon is neutralized. Ghost Williams immediately began coordinating the team's withdrawal from their observation position. Intelligence reports had warned that Ramon's security forces would respond aggressively to any attack, and the sound of Elena's rifle would give enemy fighters a general direction for their counterattack. The team had perhaps 10 minutes before organized pursuit began. "Pack it up, people," Ghost ordered. "We move in 2 minutes." "Spider, what are you hearing on enemy communications?" Spider Morrison's electronic surveillance equipment crackled with intercepted radio transmissions as Taliban fighters throughout the area responded to news of their commander's death. The communications revealed a level of organization and tactical sophistication that exceeded intelligence estimates about Ramon's security forces. "They're coordinating from multiple positions," Spider reported while hastily packing his equipment. "At least 3 different groups are moving to cut off our escape routes. They know approximately where the shot came from." Elena disassembled her rifle with practiced efficiency, breaking the weapon down into components that could be carried more easily during their movement through difficult terrain. Every second saved during equipment preparation could mean the difference between successful extraction and capture by hostile forces. Tank Rodriguez prepared demolition charges to destroy their hide site and eliminate any evidence that might provide intelligence value to enemy forces. His explosive devices would also serve as a distraction, potentially confusing Taliban fighters about the team's actual departure direction. Dokchin distributed additional ammunition and medical supplies among the team members while monitoring their physical condition. The stress of combat, combined with the physical demands of mountain movement, could quickly degrade their operational effectiveness if not carefully managed. The team began their withdrawal at 1,554 hours, exactly 3 minutes after Elena's successful shot. Ghost Williams led them along a predetermined escape route that avoided the most likely positions for enemy ambushes while providing maximum concealment from observation. Elena found herself amazed by the team's ability to move quickly and quietly through terrain that would challenge experienced hikers during peaceful conditions. The SEAL operators seemed to flow through the mountainous landscape like water, adapting their movement to take advantage of every piece of cover and concealment. The first sign of enemy pursuit came 20 minutes into their withdrawal when Spider Morrison intercepted radio communications indicating that Taliban fighters had discovered their abandoned hide site. The enemy's response time demonstrated a level of tactical proficiency that would make their escape significantly more challenging. "They found our position," Spider reported during a brief halt behind a rocky outcropping. "Multiple groups are now tracking our movement. I'm counting at least 40 voices on their communications network." Elena felt a chill of fear as she realized the magnitude of the response her single shot had triggered. Rahman's death had apparently activated a significant portion of the Taliban's regional forces, turning their extraction into a running battle through hostile territory. Ghost Williams studied his map and GPS coordinates while considering their options. The original extraction plan called for movement to a pickup zone 8 kilometers from the target area, but enemy forces were already moving to block their most direct routes. "We need to change the plan," Ghost decided. "The primary extraction point is compromised. We'll head for the alternate pickup zone, but that means 12 kilometers of movement through territory that's crawling with hostiles." The team resumed movement, with Tank Rodriguez now bringing up the rear to watch for pursuit while Elena moved in the middle of the formation where her specialized equipment could be better protected. Dokchin monitored their physical condition as the pace increased beyond sustainable levels. 30 minutes after leaving their hide site, the team encountered their first direct contact with enemy forces. Spider Morrison detected radio communications indicating that a Taliban patrol was moving directly toward their position along a narrow mountain trail. Ghost Williams made a tactical decision that demonstrated why he had earned his reputation as an exceptional small unit leader. Rather than attempting to avoid the enemy patrol through time-consuming detours, he positioned the team for an ambush that would eliminate the immediate threat while sending a message to other pursuing forces. Elena found herself assigned to provide overwatch while her teammates prepared to engage the approaching Taliban fighters. Her role would be to identify and eliminate any enemies who attempted to escape the ambush or call for reinforcements. The Taliban patrol consisted of 8 fighters moving in a tactical formation that revealed significant military training. Their leader carried advanced communications equipment and wore gear that suggested affiliation with elite enemy units rather than typical irregular fighters. Ghost Williams initiated the ambush with precise rifle fire that eliminated the enemy patrol leader before he could transmit their location to other Taliban forces. Tank Rodriguez and Dokchin engaged additional targets while Spider Morrison used electronic warfare equipment to jam enemy communications. Elena's contribution to the engagement came when she spotted 2 Taliban fighters attempting to escape the ambush and establish communications with their headquarters. Her rifle spoke twice in rapid succession, eliminating both targets before they could compromise the team's position. The entire engagement lasted less than 90 seconds, leaving 8 enemy fighters dead, without any casualties among Elena's team. However, the sound of gunfire would attract additional enemy forces and accelerate the timeline for their extraction. "We need to move now," Ghost ordered as the team policed up equipment and prepared to resume their withdrawal. That engagement will bring every hostile in the area down on our position. The team's movement became a desperate race against time as Taliban forces converged on their position from multiple directions. Spider Morrison's interception of enemy communications revealed that Rahman's death had triggered a massive response involving several different militant groups operating in the region. Elena struggled to maintain the pace as the team moved through increasingly difficult terrain. Her equipment load and the physical demands of high-altitude operations tested her endurance beyond anything she had experienced during training. However, her mental toughness and determination kept her moving when her body wanted to quit. Doc Chun provided medical support and encouragement as Elena fought through physical exhaustion that threatened to compromise the team's movement speed. His experience with combat stress and physiological limitations proved invaluable in helping her maintain operational effectiveness. 2 hours into their withdrawal, the team encountered a tactical situation that would test Elena's combat skills in ways her training had not fully prepared her for. Taliban forces had established a blocking position across their intended route, forcing the team to either fight through the enemy position or attempt a dangerous detour through exposed terrain. Ghost Williams conducted a hasty reconnaissance of the enemy position and determined that a frontal assault would be extremely costly. The Taliban fighters had positioned themselves in excellent defensive terrain with clear fields of fire covering all likely approach routes. Elena, Ghost called during their tactical planning session, "We need you to eliminate specific targets that will allow us to assault their position. Can you do precision shooting while we're maneuvering under fire?" Elena had trained for this scenario, but had never executed it under actual combat conditions. The challenge involved maintaining shooting accuracy while her teammates conducted close-quarters battle against enemy forces who would be actively trying to kill them all. "I can do it," Elena replied with quiet confidence. "Just tell me which targets you need eliminated and when." The assault plan called for Elena to eliminate the enemy machine gun crew that controlled the primary approach route to the Taliban position. Once that threat was neutralized, her teammates would advance under cover of her precision fire while she shifted targets to support their movement. Elena established a shooting position approximately 400 meters from the enemy blocking position, using natural terrain features to provide concealment while maintaining clear sight lines to critical targets. The reduced range would allow for faster target engagement and reduced flight time for her bullets. Ghost Williams coordinated the assault through radio communications, ensuring that Elena's fire support was perfectly synchronized with his team's movement. The success of their plan depended on split-second timing and absolute trust in each team member's abilities. Elena's first shot eliminated the enemy machine gunner with a precisely placed bullet to the head, instantly removing the primary threat to her teammates' advance. Her second shot killed the assistant gunner before he could take over the weapon system. Tank Rodriguez and Doc Chin began their assault movement, while Elena shifted her focus to other enemy positions. Her rifle continued to speak with deadly precision, eliminating Taliban fighters who attempted to engage her advancing teammates. The entire engagement lasted 4 minutes and resulted in the elimination of 12 enemy fighters without casualties among Elena's team. However, the sound of gunfire and the loss of communications from the blocking position would alert other Taliban forces to their location. "Outstanding shooting," Ghost Williams commented as the team resumed their movement toward the extraction point. "I've never seen anything like that level of precision during active combat operations." Elena felt a mixture of pride and horror as she processed what had just happened. Her training had prepared her for the technical aspects of combat shooting, but nothing could have prepared her for the emotional reality of taking multiple lives in rapid succession. Doc Chin recognized the signs of combat stress in Elena's behavior and provided counseling while they continued their movement. His experience with post-combat psychology proved crucial in helping Elena process her emotions without compromising her operational effectiveness. The team reached their alternate extraction point at 2,147 hours, more than 6 hours after Elena's initial shot eliminated Malik Rahman. The pickup zone was a small clearing surrounded by rocky terrain that provided natural concealment for helicopter operations. Spider Morrison established communications with their extraction aircraft, while Ghost Williams positioned the team for security during the pickup operation. The helicopter would be vulnerable during landing and takeoff, requiring the team to provide protection against potential enemy attacks. Elena took position where she could observe potential approach routes for enemy forces while her teammates prepared for helicopter extraction. Her rifle remained ready for immediate engagement if Taliban fighters attempted to interfere with their departure. The extraction helicopter arrived precisely on schedule, piloted by the same crew who had inserted the team 6 days earlier. Elena felt tremendous relief as she boarded the aircraft and realized that her first combat mission had been successfully completed. During the flight back to Bagram Air Base, Elena reflected on the experiences that had transformed her from a ranch girl with exceptional shooting skills into a combat-tested military asset. The mission had proven that her abilities were effective in real-world conditions, but it had also revealed the psychological costs of using those abilities against human targets. Master Chief Harrison was waiting at Bagram when their helicopter landed, eager to debrief the mission and assess Elena's performance under combat conditions. His evaluation would determine whether Elena would be approved for additional missions with SEAL teams. "How did she do?" Harrison asked Ghost Williams during their initial debrief session. "Chief," Ghost replied with obvious admiration, "Elena Martinez is the most effective sniper I've ever worked with. Her shooting was absolutely perfect, but, more importantly, she demonstrated the kind of character and professionalism that makes her someone you can trust with your life." Elena's first combat mission had established her reputation among the SEAL community as someone whose abilities exceeded normal expectations. However, the psychological impact of taking human lives would continue to challenge her as she struggled to balance her natural compassion with the demands of her unique role. The transport aircraft carrying Elena Martinez back to Coronado cut through Pacific air currents as she stared out the window at endless ocean stretches. 3 weeks had passed since the successful elimination of Malik Rahman in Afghanistan, and Elena was returning to a SEAL community that now viewed her with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. Word of her perfect performance during the mission had spread throughout the Special Operations community, generating requests for her services that far exceeded what Master Chief Harrison had anticipated. Elena's reputation among the teams had evolved from curiosity about the mysterious female sniper to genuine respect for a warrior whose abilities transcended conventional understanding. However, this newfound status brought complications that neither Elena nor her handlers had fully considered during her initial training period. The aircraft touched down at Coronado just after sunrise, and Elena found herself met by Master Chief Harrison and Commander Patricia Sterling, the officer responsible for Special Operations personnel assignments. Commander Sterling's presence indicated that Elena's role within the SEAL community was about to undergo significant changes. "Welcome back, Elena," Commander Sterling said as they walked toward a secure briefing room. "Your performance in Afghanistan has generated considerable interest from various quarters. We need to discuss your future role and the opportunities that have become available." Elena had expected some recognition for her successful mission, but the formal nature of Commander Sterling's greeting suggested that her life was about to become much more complicated. The quiet existence she had enjoyed during her initial training period was apparently coming to an end. The briefing room contained several senior officers from different special operations units, along with civilian representatives from various intelligence agencies. Elena realized that her exceptional abilities had attracted attention from organizations throughout the military and intelligence communities. "Elena," Commander Sterling began, "your success in Afghanistan has demonstrated capabilities that multiple units need for their operations. However, your current unofficial status creates administrative and legal complications that we need to address." The meeting revealed that Elena's unique position as an unofficial asset had become problematic as demand for her services increased. Military lawyers were concerned about liability issues, while intelligence officials worried about oversight and accountability for operations involving civilian personnel. "We have 3 options," Commander Sterling explained. "First, you could enlist formally in the Navy and go through official SEAL training. Second, you could accept a civilian contractor position with official government oversight. Third, You could continue your current arrangement, but with enhanced legal protections and formal operational parameters. Elena listened to the explanation of each option while considering how her choice would affect her ability to serve effectively and maintain the independence that made her valuable to the teams. Each alternative presented advantages and disadvantages that would significantly impact her future. Formal military enlistment would provide complete legal protection and access to military benefits, but it would also subject Elena to traditional command structures that might limit her operational effectiveness. The rigid hierarchies and administrative requirements of military service could interfere with her ability to provide rapid response support to various teams. Civilian contractor status would maintain her operational flexibility while providing legal protections and formal oversight. However, contractor positions often involved bureaucratic complications and political considerations that could compromise mission effectiveness. Continuing her current arrangement with enhanced legal protections offered maximum operational flexibility but maintained the administrative uncertainties that had prompted this discussion. Elena would remain outside traditional command structures while gaining formal recognition of her unique status. Elena's decision was influenced by a conversation with Ghost Williams, who had specifically requested permission to speak with her before she made her choice. The SEAL team leader's perspective proved crucial in helping Elena understand how her choice would affect her ability to work effectively with operational units. Elena, Ghost explained during their private meeting, the teams need you exactly as you are. Your value comes from being outside the normal chain of command while maintaining absolute reliability and professionalism. Formal enlistment would change that dynamic in ways that might reduce your effectiveness. Elena also consulted with Master Chief Harrison, whose experience with special operations personnel gave him unique insight into the challenges of managing exceptional individuals within military organizations. Elena, Harrison advised, you've proven that you can operate effectively within our community while maintaining your independence. The key is finding a formal arrangement that preserves what makes you valuable while addressing the legal and administrative concerns. After 3 days of consideration, Elena chose to continue her current arrangement with enhanced legal protections and formal operational parameters. This decision would allow her to maintain the flexibility that made her valuable while providing the oversight and accountability that various agencies required. Commander Sterling accepted Elena's decision and began implementing the administrative changes necessary to formalize her unique status. Elena would receive an official security clearance, formal recognition of her role, and legal protections equivalent to military personnel while remaining outside traditional command structures. The new arrangement came with increased responsibilities and higher expectations for Elena's performance. She would be required to maintain enhanced physical fitness standards, undergo regular psychological evaluations, and complete advanced training in various specialized skills. Elena's first assignment under her new status involved supporting a classified mission in Syria that required precision engagement of multiple targets in an urban environment. The operation would test her abilities under conditions significantly different from the mountain warfare she had experienced in Afghanistan. The Syrian mission was planned by a joint task force that included SEAL Team 6 operators, Delta Force personnel, and CIA paramilitary specialists. The target was a terrorist cell that had been planning attacks against civilian targets in European cities. Elena's role would be to provide overwatch and precision fire support for assault teams moving through a complex urban environment. The challenge involved engaging multiple targets while avoiding civilian casualties in a densely populated area. The mission planning process revealed the increased complexity of operations that Elena would face as her reputation spread throughout the special operations community. Multiple agencies had specific requirements for her support, creating coordination challenges that required careful management. Elena spent 2 weeks preparing for the Syrian operation, training with urban warfare specialists, and learning about the unique challenges of precision shooting in city environments. The technical demands of urban sniping required different skills than the mountain warfare she had mastered in Afghanistan. Urban environments presented complications including multiple elevation changes, unpredictable wind patterns created by buildings, and the constant risk of civilian casualties. Elena had to master techniques for rapid target identification and engagement while maintaining absolute accuracy under pressure. The training also included cultural education about Syrian society and the political complexities of operating in a country torn by civil war. Elena needed to understand the human terrain as thoroughly as she understood the physical environment where she would be operating. Elena's preparation for the Syrian mission was interrupted by an emergency deployment to Somalia, where pirates had seized a merchant vessel carrying humanitarian supplies. The hostage rescue operation would require immediate precision shooting to neutralize threats while protecting innocent crew members. The Somalia mission demonstrated Elena's growing reputation within the special operations community. She was specifically requested by name for the operation, with mission planners designing their assault around her unique capabilities. Elena found herself working with a different SEAL team for the Somalia operation, forcing her to quickly adapt to new personalities and operational styles. The team leader, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Phoenix Martinez, was one of the few female officers in the SEAL community and brought a unique perspective to their working relationship. Phoenix Martinez had heard about Elena through professional networks and was eager to work with someone whose abilities had generated so much discussion within the special operations community. Their collaboration would prove especially effective due to shared perspectives on operating in male-dominated environments. The pirate ship was positioned approximately 12 miles off the Somali coast, requiring Elena to shoot from a naval vessel while compensating for ocean movement and atmospheric conditions created by sea spray and humidity. The technical challenges exceeded anything she had experienced during land-based operations. Elena's successful elimination of 4 pirate guards during the rescue operation demonstrated her ability to maintain precision under conditions that would challenge even experienced naval snipers. The mission resulted in the safe recovery of all crew members without casualties. The Somalia success led to Elena being assigned to a special operations task force that provided rapid response support for hostage rescue and counterterrorism operations worldwide. Her role would involve deploying with various teams depending on mission requirements and tactical situations. Elena's new assignment brought her into contact with elite operators from different military branches and allied nations. She worked with British SAS commandos in Iraq, French Foreign Legion specialists in Mali, and Australian SAS operators in the Philippines. Each international operation taught Elena new techniques and expanded her understanding of how different military cultures approached special operations. Her ability to adapt quickly to various operational styles made her valuable for joint missions requiring precision shooting support. Elena's reputation began extending beyond the military community as intelligence agencies recognized her unique capabilities for missions requiring absolute discretion and precision. The CIA approached her about supporting operations that required deniable assets with exceptional skills. The civilian intelligence mission involved eliminating a rogue agent who had been selling classified information to hostile foreign governments. The operation would take place in a European city and require Elena to operate completely independently while maintaining plausible deniability for the U.S. government. Elena's decision to accept the CIA mission marked another evolution in her role within the national security community. She was transitioning from military support asset to independent operator capable of conducting highly sensitive missions with minimal oversight. The European operation required Elena to assume a civilian identity and operate for several weeks in a foreign country while preparing for a single precision shot. The psychological demands of extended surveillance and preparation tested her mental resilience in new ways. Elena's successful completion of the CIA mission established her as the most sought-after precision shooter in the American intelligence community. Her combination of technical excellence and operational security made her invaluable for missions that required absolute reliability and discretion. However, Elena's growing reputation also created new challenges as various agencies competed for her services and attempted to recruit her for exclusive arrangements. The politics of interagency cooperation threatened to complicate her ability to serve effectively. Master Chief Harrison found himself serving as Elena's advocate and protector as various organizations attempted to claim exclusive access to her services. His experience with military politics proved crucial in maintaining Elena's independence while satisfying the legitimate needs of different agencies. Elena's personal life became increasingly complicated as the demands of her unique role left little time for normal relationships and activities. The psychological stress of her responsibilities required constant attention to maintain her emotional stability and operational effectiveness. Doc Chun, who had served as Elena's medical support during the Afghanistan mission, was assigned as her permanent psychological counselor to help her manage the mental health challenges of her unique role. His understanding of combat stress and warrior psychology proved invaluable. Elena's relationship with her family in Montana became strained as security requirements limited her ability to communicate openly about her activities. Her mother and grandfather worried about her safety while understanding little about the nature of her work. The isolation created by Elena's classified role led her to seek companionship within the special operations community, where people understood the unique pressures of her lifestyle. She developed close friendships with other operators who had experienced similar challenges. Elena's romantic relationships proved especially complicated due to security clearance requirements and the demands of her operational schedule. Traditional dating became impossible as Elena's identity and activities remained classified at the highest levels. The psychological toll of repeatedly taking human lives began affecting Elena despite her strong mental foundation and professional counseling. She experienced nightmares and anxiety that required careful management to maintain her operational effectiveness. Elena's struggle with the moral weight of her actions led her to seek G5 years after Elena Martinez first arrived at Coronado. She stood on the same Pacific beach where her journey had begun, watching the sunrise paint the ocean in brilliant shades of gold and crimson. The young woman who had left Montana with dreams of serving her country had evolved into something unprecedented in military history, an independent operator whose reputation transcended national boundaries and whose skills had reshaped how special operations were conducted worldwide. Elena's reflection was interrupted by the approach of Master Chief Harrison, now graying at the temples, but still carrying himself with the bearing that had made him legendary among SEAL operators. Their relationship had evolved from teacher and student to colleagues bound by shared experiences and mutual respect earned through countless missions in hostile territories around the globe. Thinking about the old days? Harrison asked as he joined Elena on the beach. Thinking about how much has changed, Elena replied. Sometimes I wonder what my grandfather would think about what I've become. Harrison understood Elena's contemplation better than most. He had watched her transform from a skilled ranch girl into the most effective precision shooter in modern military history. But he had also witnessed the personal costs of that transformation. Elena's achievements came with psychological burdens that few people could comprehend. The past 5 years had brought Elena through dozens of missions across 6 continents, each operation adding to her legend while testing her abilities under increasingly complex conditions. She had eliminated terrorist leaders in urban environments, provided precision support for hostage rescues in remote locations, and conducted surveillance operations that required weeks of patient observation before a single perfect shot. Elena's operational record included successes that remained classified at the highest levels of government. She had prevented terrorist attacks, eliminated rogue intelligence agents, and supported missions that saved countless innocent lives. However, these achievements came at personal costs that Elena continued to struggle with despite extensive psychological support. The weight of taking human lives, even when morally justified, had accumulated over years of operational deployments. Elena experienced nightmares, anxiety attacks, and periods of depression that required constant management to maintain her effectiveness. Doc Chin's psychological counseling had evolved into a critical component of Elena's operational support. Elena's personal relationships remained complicated by security requirements and the emotional demands of her role. She had attempted several romantic relationships with fellow operators who understood the unique pressures of special operations. But the intensity of her work made long-term commitments extremely difficult. Her relationship with her family in Montana had been permanently altered by security clearance restrictions that prevented open communication about her activities. Elena's mother and grandfather knew she served in some classified capacity, but they understood little about the nature or scope of her responsibilities. Despite these personal challenges, Elena had found purpose and satisfaction in her unique role within the national security community. Her abilities allowed her to contribute to missions that protected innocent people and advanced American interests in ways that conventional military operations could not achieve. Elena's reputation within the international special operations community had reached almost mythical proportions. Stories of her impossible shots were shared in training facilities from Fort Bragg to Hereford, often embellished beyond recognition, but always rooted in documented achievements that defied conventional understanding. Foreign intelligence services had attempted to recruit Elena multiple times, offering enormous sums of money and various incentives to convince her to defect. These recruitment attempts had become so persistent that Elena now required constant security protection even while operating from American bases. The psychological warfare aspects of Elena's reputation had become as valuable as her actual shooting abilities. Enemy forces in various theaters had altered their operational patterns simply to avoid potential engagement with the legendary female sniper whose presence could be decisive in tactical situations. Elena's influence extended beyond operational missions to training and doctrine development within the special operations community. She had helped develop new techniques for long-range precision shooting, urban sniper tactics, and the integration of precision fires with small unit operations. Young snipers throughout the military studied Elena's techniques and attempted to replicate her achievements, though none had approached her level of consistent accuracy under combat conditions. Elena had become a standard against which other precision shooters measured their abilities. The evolution of Elena's role had led to the creation of a new category of military specialist, the independent precision asset. This classification allowed for the deployment of exceptionally skilled individuals who could operate outside traditional command structures while maintaining accountability and oversight. Elena's success had inspired efforts to identify and develop other individuals with similar potential, though recruitment programs had discovered that her combination of technical skill, mental toughness, and moral character was extremely rare. Most candidates lacked either the natural ability or the psychological foundation necessary for Elena's level of performance. The morning's contemplation on Coronado Beach was prompted by Elena's receipt of a new assignment that would test her abilities in ways that previous missions had not anticipated. Intelligence agencies had identified a situation requiring her unique skills, but the operation would force Elena to confront aspects of her role that she had previously avoided. Master Chief Harrison carried orders for Elena's most challenging assignment to date, eliminating a former American Special Operations officer who had defected to enemy forces and was using his knowledge of U.S. tactics to train terrorists. The mission would require Elena to kill someone who had once served alongside people she knew and respected. "This one's different," Harrison explained as they walked along the beach. Marcus Webb was a SEAL Team 6 operator before he went rogue. He's been training insurgent forces in Iraq and sharing classified information about our operational procedures. Elena felt a chill of apprehension as she processed the implications of this assignment. Eliminating enemy fighters and terrorists was one thing, but killing a former American serviceman raised moral and emotional complications that she had not previously faced. Webb's defection had shocked the special operations community when it was discovered 6 months earlier. A decorated veteran with 12 years of honorable service, Webb had apparently been recruited by enemy intelligence services during his final deployment and had disappeared during a routine operation in Syria. Intelligence reports indicated that Webb was now operating from a training camp in the mountains of northern Iraq, where he was teaching advanced tactical techniques to foreign fighters planning attacks against American forces. His knowledge of SEAL procedures made him an exceptionally dangerous threat. Elena's mission would require her to infiltrate the remote training camp area and eliminate Webb before his instruction could be completed. The operation was complicated by Webb's knowledge of American tactics and his ability to anticipate conventional approaches. The mission planning process revealed the unique challenges of targeting someone with intimate knowledge of special operations procedures. Webb would be familiar with standard sniper tactics and might have taken precautions specifically designed to counter Elena's likely approaches. Elena spent 2 weeks studying Webb's background and service record, trying to understand the psychological factors that had led to his defection. The man she would be targeting had once served with honor and distinction, earning decorations for valor and leadership under combat conditions. The psychological preparation for this mission proved more difficult than any technical training Elena had previously undertaken. She was forced to confront the reality that her role sometimes required eliminating people who had once served the same values and principles that motivated her own service. Elena's deployment to Iraq was conducted with maximum operational security, as intelligence agencies suspected that Webb might have sources within American military units who could compromise mission planning. Only a small number of senior personnel knew about Elena's presence in theater. The Iraqi operation required Elena to work with a Kurdish Peshmerga unit that had been specially selected for their loyalty and discretion. The Kurdish fighters had extensive knowledge of the mountainous terrain where Webb was operating and provided essential local support. Elena's first week in Iraq was spent conducting reconnaissance of the target area and studying Webb's operational patterns. The former SEAL had established sophisticated security procedures that demonstrated his understanding of American surveillance capabilities. Webb's training camp was located in a remote valley surrounded by mountainous terrain that provided excellent defensive positions. His security force consisted of experienced fighters from multiple countries who had received advanced tactical training under Webb's instruction. Elena identified several potential shooting positions that would provide the range and concealment necessary for mission success. However, each position presented unique challenges due to the terrain and Webb's likely security countermeasures. The optimal shooting position was located on a ridge approximately 1,300 meters from the training camp, requiring Elena to make one of the longest combat shots of her career while accounting for mountain wind patterns and altitude effects. The distance would test her abilities at the extreme range of her equipment. Elena's preparation for the shot involved 3 days of detailed observation and environmental data collection. She studied wind patterns, temperature variations, and lighting conditions while remaining concealed from the extensive security patrols that Webb had established. Webb's daily routine included morning inspections of training activities and afternoon tactical lectures that brought him into the open areas of the camp. Elena identified a 30-minute window each day when Webb would be vulnerable to long-range engagement. The shot sequence Elena developed required her to account for variables that exceeded anything she had previously encountered. The extreme range, combined with mountain atmospheric conditions, created ballistic challenges that pushed her technical skills to their absolute limits. On the morning of her planned engagement, Elena discovered that Webb had altered his routine and was conducting training exercises in a different area of the camp. The change forced her to adapt her plans and identify alternative shooting opportunities. Elena's flexibility and tactical intelligence proved crucial as she repositioned to accommodate Webb's changed routine. Her ability to adapt quickly to unexpected developments demonstrated the mental agility that made her invaluable for complex operations. Webb's new position required Elena to engage him at a range of 1,470 meters, the longest combat shot she had ever attempted. The distance pushed her equipment and abilities beyond tested parameters, requiring her to make ballistic calculations based on theoretical projections rather than proven data. Elena's shot was executed at 1,347 hours local time, with environmental conditions that were marginally acceptable for extreme long-range engagement. The bullet's flight time exceeded 2 seconds, during which any change in target movement or wind conditions could cause a miss. The bullet struck Webb in the center of his chest, eliminating him instantly and completing Elena's most challenging mission to date. The shot was later verified by ballistics experts as one of the longest confirmed combat eliminations in military history. However, Elena's successful completion of the mission brought little satisfaction due to the personal nature of targeting a former American serviceman. The psychological weight of killing someone who had once served alongside her colleagues created emotional complications that required extensive counseling. Elena's return to Coronado after the Iraq mission marked another transition in her role within the special operations community. Her demonstrated ability to execute impossible shots under extreme conditions had established her as the ultimate precision shooting asset. The Iraq mission also marked the end of Elena's exclusive relationship with the SEAL community. Her success had attracted attention from the highest levels of government, leading to assignments that would take her far beyond traditional military operations. Elena found herself being briefed for missions that involved civilian intelligence agencies, foreign allied services, and joint operations with organizations whose existence remained classified. Her role was evolving from military support asset to national strategic resource. The woman who had left Montana 5 years earlier with dreams of serving her country had become something unprecedented in American military history. Elena Martinez was no longer simply a sniper who worked with SEALs. She had become an independent force whose very existence changed the strategic calculations of America's enemies. Standing on Coronado Beach as the sun completed its rise over the Pacific Ocean, Elena reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. The quiet ranch girl who had learned marksmanship from her grandfather had become a legend whose name was whispered with fear in terrorist camps and spoken with reverence in special operations units worldwide. Elena's story had become the foundation for a new understanding of how exceptional individuals could serve their country. Her achievements had proven that traditional military structures could be adapted to accommodate unique talents while maintaining the accountability and moral framework necessary for ethical service. The future held unlimited possibilities for Elena's continued service, but it also promised challenges that would test her abilities and character in ways that even her extraordinary past had not prepared her for. Elena Martinez had become the shadow among warriors, forever changed by her service and forever committed to using her gifts in defense of the innocent. Guidance from military chaplains and philosophers who specialized in warrior ethics. She needed to reconcile her natural compassion with the requirements of her role as an instrument of national policy. The evolution of Elena's role from local SEAL support asset to international operative had happened gradually, but the cumulative effect transformed her life in ways she had not anticipated. Her exceptional abilities had created opportunities and responsibilities that exceeded her original expectations. Elena's reputation within the global special operations community reached legendary status as stories of her impossible shots spread through professional networks. However, she remained focused on the practical aspects of her work rather than the recognition it generated. The woman who had left her Montana ranch to serve her country was becoming something unprecedented in military history. A precision shooter whose abilities transcended conventional understanding and whose services were sought by organizations throughout the national security establishment. Elena Martinez was no longer simply a female sniper whom SEALs feared to face. She had become an independent force whose very existence changed how special operations were planned and executed worldwide. The success of the Ramon mission led to immediate requests from other SEAL teams for Elena's services. Intelligence reports indicated that several high-value targets required the kind of precision engagement that only Elena could provide. Her transformation from training asset to operational sniper was complete. Major Patterson's final mission report praised Elena's performance and recommended her for additional operations requiring specialized sniper support. The intelligence community had recognized that Elena represented a unique capability that could be decisive in certain tactical situations. Elena spent her final night at Bugram writing letters to her family and trying to process the emotional impact of her combat experiences. The young woman who had left Montana with dreams of serving her country was discovering that such service came with costs she had not fully anticipated. The flight back to Coronado gave Elena time to reflect on how the mission had changed her understanding of herself and her role among America's most elite warriors. She had proven that her abilities were effective in combat, but she had also learned that exceptional skills carried exceptional responsibilities that would shape the rest of her life. Bodyguards and 2 other Taliban commanders. Elena confirmed target identification through her scope, noting the distinctive scar across Ramon's left cheek that matched intelligence photographs. The Taliban commander positioned himself in an open area approximately 10 meters from the nearest cover, presenting Elena with the clear shot opportunity that mission planners had hoped to achieve. Ramon appeared relaxed and confident, apparently believing that his remote mountain location provided adequate security from coalition forces. Elena adjusted her aim point to account for the measured wind speed and direction, the range to target, and the altitude differential between her position and Ramon's location. Her calculations were based on years of training and experience, but the moment of truth would determine whether her preparation had been adequate. At 1,551 hours, Elena Martinez squeezed the trigger of her rifle and sent a .338 Lapua Magnum bullet across 1,087 meters of Afghan mountain air toward one of the Taliban's most dangerous commanders. The shot would determine not just the success of this mission, but Elena's future role among America's most elite warriors. The bullet flew true, striking Ramon in the center of his chest and eliminating one of the coalition's highest priority targets. Elena's first combat shot had achieved the precision that training had promised, but the real test would come during the team's extraction through hostile territory while enemy forces converged on their position. "You don't have to accept this mission," Harrison replied. "You're not officially military personnel. You can say no without any consequences." Elena's response revealed the depth of character that her grandfather had helped develop during years of training in the Montana mountains. "Master Chief, my grandfather taught me that exceptional abilities come with exceptional responsibilities. If I have the skills to help protect our people and eliminate threats to innocent civilians, then refusing to use those skills would be a betrayal of everything he taught me." 3 days later, Elena Martinez found herself boarding a military transport aircraft bound for Afghanistan, carrying equipment that represented the cutting edge of sniper technology and accompanied by 4 elite SEAL operators who had been specially selected for the mission. As the aircraft lifted off from Coronado, Elena realized that her life as she had known it was ending. Whatever happened in the mountains of Afghanistan would determine not just the success of this mission, but the entire trajectory of her future. The transformation from Montana ranch girl to elite military asset was complete. Elena Martinez was about to discover what it truly meant to be the shadow among warriors, the female sniper that every SEAL feared to face and trusted completely to watch their backs.